everybody, and welcome back to our weekly No Guns Life video series. Although, if I'm totally honest, and you No Guns Life fans are about to be either really disappointed or really angry, I don't know if I'm gonna continue doing these. We'll see next week. I'm not super sure. Anyway, today we're gonna be talking about episode 4 called Trigger, and it's a thing. But before we begin, I do want to remind you all that if you would like to have your name shouted out in next week's No Guns Life video, if it comes out, then be sure to share this video around on the internet and then tag me at JoJo Talks Too Much over on Twitter, and I will be sure to shout your name out in next week's video. Okay, so I'm sure the question you're wondering is what the hell changed, because it wasn't that long ago that I was like really excited about No Guns Life, and I still am. I love Juzo, and Mary's a total waifu. But man, the Tetsuro as a character just bothers me, and I'm so disinterested in anything regarding him as a character. Like, he ruined the first half of this week's episode. Not because he did anything specifically horrid, but just because his episode last week, and this, like, the first half of this episode, because it does get better in the second half, big time. But the first half of this episode, I was so bored, like so disinterested. And how could I possibly be bored in a show where there is a man with a gun for a face? I was bored. Wrap your head around that. And you wanna know why I was bored? It's all because of Tetsuro. This friggin' guy, this kid, I can't. And what kills me too is his seiyuu is Daiki Yamashita. His seiyuu is fantastic. I don't know how we're in this position, and that's the one thing that I have to point out. And like, listen, if you like No Guns Life, I'm real sorry. You may want to click off, because I am going to be sort of ranting and raving for at least like the next 5 minutes before praising the show, because the show does do a significant amount of stuff right in this week's episode as well. But there's this thing that bugged me in this week's episode, and I really, really noticed it here. And that is that the best thing the show has going for it is its voice acting, because it's phenomenal, and its background art, because it's phenomenal. The use of the Unreal Engine, let it be known, is fantastic. If nothing else, the background art is fantastic. And you guys know me. You know me, and you know that I love me some background art. At least if you've been watching the channel for a while, you'll know that. If you're totally new to this channel, then yeah, you probably don't know that. But if you know me, you know that I love it. And it's fantastic. The use of Unreal is just cool. It's a neat concept, just the sheer fact that what is normally used for gaming is now being used for anime. I just think that's a cool use of the technology. I think it's interesting. I hope it's a step forward to seeing more of this. Like that end shot from the last like clip of the episode, where it's like some random character's room who we hadn't seen before. I was already just like mesmerized by her office, because it looks so friggin' cool. And the whole show looks cool. Let it be known, the rule of cool is very much active in this show. And the acting is phenomenal. You have great seiyus here, and even though I don't know the actress's name, the woman who plays Anne is great. She really sells the emotion in the character. It would help if I cared more about her character, but she really sells it. And that's where you have an issue for me, is because these actors are giving it everything they got. And I just don't care. I just don't care about Anne and End and Tetsuro and this whole Barugan thing. I don't care. I just want to see Juzo solve crimes. I think I walked into the show expecting one thing and received another, and I'm still sort of getting used to that. Like, what I had wanted was episodic crime noir with cyberpunk aesthetics. Like, that's all I wanted. Episodic crime noir with a cyberpunk setting. Like, that's what I wanted. And that is not quite what I got. It's sort of what I got, but there's too much Barugan plot, or whatever you call like the big bad guys. And man, they are one note. Like, that blonde dude, the Chudulkin wannabe from SAO, like, that dude is just horrendous. And kind of dumb, honestly. The whole thing with End and Anne, I just thought was silly. Like, because he's like, oh, I need you guys to go get Juzo over there, so go get Juzo. oh, you're taking more than like 5 seconds to do so? Okay, well, I'll just blam, and he just shoots the one girl, and he's like, those weren't bullets. Those were psycho bullets that make you go crazy and fry your system or what? I don't know. It was odd. It was just a way to get and to almost kill Anne, or actually not even almost, to kill Anne. And even then, I didn't care. Like, I was shocked how little I cared about a character dying. I was just like, yeah, all right, well, okay, bye. Because we only knew her for like an episode, so I don't know. I'm very disappointed. Not by the show as a whole. I still think the show is good, but it's just my personal interest is really waning. I can see people still loving the show, and I absolutely applaud, again, the background art, the seiyus, they're great. The character designs are hit and miss. Like, Juzo's design is fantastic, if a little bit basic. Like, the gun for the head thing is fantastic, but the rest of him is just sort of like a crime noir guy, and that's fine. But, again, like, the no-gun life aesthetic, like the gun for a head, that's the main thing. And the character designs for everything else, though, these characters are very samey. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of the characters look similar. Like, Mary looks a lot like End. And the like nun character looks an awful lot like the red-haired character. Maybe they're the same character. I have no clue, but if not, they look almost identical. The only difference is that one has red hair and one doesn't. And then there's another Juzo running around later, but just with the red coat. Like, it's a little too samey, and I don't know if that's the fault of the anime production or if that's the fault of the original character designs from the light novels. I got no clue. What I do know is that the second half of the episode does improve dramatically once Tetsuro is taken out of the picture, because he is basically knocked out of Juzo's body, and we once again have Juzo. Everything about Juzo is great. Juzo is still one of the coolest characters of the season. He is fantastic. He just happens to be in a show that I think, honestly, on the whole, is okay. It's not a terrible show. It's not even a bad show. It's just sort of an okay show, and that sucks because I loved the first 2 episodes. I thought they were so fun. The first episode in particular is such a great first episode. And the second one, I was like, okay, I still like it. I think we're focusing a little too much on this whole Juzo thing. I don't mind this being like a sort of undercurrent plot in something like, say, this isn't an anime, but in something like Doctor Who, where you have these episodic adventures, but there's this sort of like underlying plot, especially in series 2, of like Bad Wolf, and you start kind of noticing these little like ties back to this overarching plot that comes to a head in the last 2-part of the series, or the season rather. And here, it's not like that. That's how I felt like you could have done it if you wanted to have this overarching plot with Juzo, but they're really hammering home like, no, like they're coming for this kid and they're gonna make his life and Juzo's life hell and yada yada. I'm worried now, like, even if they do start doing episodic adventures, if it's too late, because now I just don't like Tetsuro. I just don't care. And Mary's absence is very much notable. Like, I wish the show was just about Juzo and Mary, and like Mary's like his medic. Mary's almost like his more wacky version of like Watson. Like, she's like the medic character, but she's a little bit more off the wall, a little bit more crazy, whereas he's like the detective who goes out and gets his hands dirty and gets in crazy cool fights and stuff like that. You can still have Tetsuro be like a character, but just have him used less, because he's just sort of, again, he's not a bad character. And I don't want anything bad to necessarily happen to him. I just don't really care about him. He's just sort of there. And like, if something were to happen to him, yeah, like I'd feel bad. But he's just sort of, he's like toast. Like, you don't necessarily eat toast on its own. You're usually gonna put toast with other things. And Tetsuro is just, he's toast. And I don't mean like he's toast as in like, oh, he's gone. I mean, he's toast as in he's just bland. He's just sort of there. I don't know. There's just nothing to him. And maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just like a big jerk and I'm being overly critical about a show that I should maybe just turn my brain off and have fun with. But even then, I feel like most fans of the show have their brains firmly turned on, and they are definitely enjoying the show. And I just can't get past how little I care about Tetsuro and his his journey, I think, again, because I wanted one thing from the show and got something completely different. And I don't blame the show, nor do I blame like the anime crew or even like the original author. It's nothing against them. I'm sure that people who love the show are going to continue to love the show. I'm going to try to give it another episode and see if maybe it could change my mind. But we're on episode 4 now, and I'm just not feeling it the same way that I did. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it can turn me around at this point. I really hope it does. Because again, like the ending, like the second half, once Juzo arrives, it's cool again. It's nice to have Juzo back in the driver's seat. And we actually get to see them pull the trigger on Juzo. Like, Tetsuro actually pulls Juzo's trigger, which sounds vaguely, but anyway, like we actually see it in action. And it's just kind of like a big energy beam. I don't know what I expected. Even that was sort of taken away from me because I thought it was going to look crazy cool and oh my goodness, and I didn't even think we were going to see it in episode 4. I thought we would see somebody pull the trigger like way later, like towards like the finale of the series or the season, but yeah, it's here. It's just kind of like a big beam of light that shoots into the sky like a Marvel movie. It works. I mean, it's fine. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I'm real sorry, guys. I hate being like a downer. I don't like making videos like that, but I don't know. I also don't want to lie to you and be like, it's great, blah, 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 and just keep making content if I know that I'm not feeling it. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say. On that downer note, I'm going to give this week's episode a C. It's not bad. It's just kind of okay. Like I said, I don't think it's a bad show remotely. I think it's okay. And I can absolutely see other people putting it in like the B tier or even maybe the A tier. I can see people loving this show. But it's just losing me. And I hope next week it can kind of win me back. I don't know. We'll see. On that note, everybody, that just about wraps everything up. But before we go, as always, I want to give a big shout out to the good folks over on Patreon, namely those in the Earl Grey tier. Calvin Atkinson, Crowbar of Irony, Dominic, Urza, Ginkotaku, No For Nothing, Maria Teresa, Mirth Mouser, Omner Garamond, Cell, Shadow Creative, Sipco Games, Somastan, Steven, Tristan, and Verdon. Thank you all so much for your continued support over on Patreon, and hey, if you too would like to join the T Squadron, then by all means go ahead and check out that first link in the description to check out our Patreon page, see all the cool rewards you can get for as little as $1 a month, and get access to our Patreon exclusive Discord. But on that note, everybody, that's going to be a video, so I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, you've probably been on the internet long enough to know what to do already, so I ain't going to tell you, but I will say that it is appreciated, and if you are feeling stressed out today, then you go have yourself a warm cup of tea, and I will talk to you all again real soon.